All right, 2 Chronicles chapter 10. Let's call this one For Now and subtitle it Decline, understanding the way in which we will get to see Rehoboam lead the nation of Israel into decline, now having taken over the kingdom from his father, Solomon. Rehoboam is going to start out by getting some pretty decent advice as the people of Israel are going to come to him with an appeal. Look, your dad Solomon did a lot of great things, but he worked us really hard to get those things done. So please lighten our load so we can, as my paraphrase would go, have some work-life balance, as we would call it today. But Rehoboam is at least wise enough to go get some advice. So he starts out with his dad's trusted older advisors who are going to simply say, look, just be good to the people, please them, and speak kindly to them, and they'll serve you. But he's going to balance that out with advice he gets from guys he grew up with. And they're going to say, really? That sounds soft. And no, you actually need to be harder on them than your father was. And after weighing out the advice, he is going to go back to the people and, of course, trusty friends who give him bad advice. And in doing that, he is going to drive a wedge between himself and roughly 80% of the kingdom of Israel, understanding that he is going to lose 10 tribes and only have 2 remaining. The 10 tribes going to Jeroboam, who is now going to be the newly anointed king of Israel. The northern 10 tribes, understanding that now what's left for Rehoboam is now going to be known as the kingdom of Judah. And so in this retelling, the thing that struck me this time is not so much Satan because he is mentioned specifically in this chapter, but because he is described as being a master at deceit. I realize that there are times in life when he's trying to deceive us, where he won't waste time debating with us, when he can simply tempt us to hate the people through whom God would bring us sound advice. And there are 3 ways in which Rehoboam dismisses sound advice here. 1, it's basically the literal advice he's getting from the older men. The second way is in which he is rejecting his father's example, that even though Solomon was hard on the people during the years they were trying to grow Israel, he was doing it with just purposes or with a just objective, understanding that everything we see described in Solomon, no matter how hard he was working the people, he was still just and fair. Something that reminds me of the third thing that Rehoboam seems to have done wrong, which is disregarding the simple justice in the plea of the people who, in the context of a nation that is no longer in its building years, quite likely don't have as much to do. And so it's probably not necessary or fair that they continue to have to maintain the same hours they were working when they were trying to grow the the nation of Israel. Intentional Freudian slip, understanding it has a practical application for us as well. Since Rehoboam seems to have missed his third opportunity to do the right thing by simply, if he didn't want to listen to the advice of the old men, if he didn't want to follow the example of his father in being fair or being hard on the people for a legitimate reason, he simply could have on his own reasoned that the right thing to do is listen to these people that you don't have to listen to because they're your servants, but they're simply making a fair request. And in refusing to do that, it once again reminded me of the ways in which Satan doesn't have to debate with us to get us to do the wrong thing. If he can simply get us to hate the people through whom God is speaking to us reasonably.